is March 23rd, 2015, and I was just talking about how not too long after this whole series of events of my being raped by Mike Tanzer, I was then having to basically talk to FBI about another situation, and Mike's name came up because I thought it was possible that Mike was involved with this other situation. And shortly after that, instead of taking my report and acting and doing a professional job of it or whatever, what I assumed happened was that I was grossly defamed in that report, and then I wasn't even allowed to look at it or make corrections or anything. And I kept asking for a copy of my records because I was getting harassed by police all the time then. I mean, I had all these police constantly following me around, pulling me over for things that I wasn't even doing wrong. I mean, I've done some things wrong when I was speeding or something like that, and I get pulled over. But I was getting pulled over by cops a whole bunch of times when I wasn't doing anything wrong, and they were just flat out lying. And a couple of times I was able to corner them on it because I knew that there were hidden cameras in the town, in the local vicinity, like for example street cameras, and I was trying to obtain some of those cameras, so then like they drop everything after they knew I was going to actually be accessing some of that. So I was getting followed around on all kinds of things with cops making stuff up and about me that weren't true. And I thought, and actually now that I think about it, it's possible that a few of the cops, I'm not positive, but it is possible a couple of the cops didn't know what had been done to me, and so they thought that I was making false reports about people like Mike Tanzer, and so they decided they'd all group up and gang against me and start making false reports about me all over about driving things that I didn't do wrong, which they were saying I did. And it's possible that they were innocent. They just were getting, well, they were innocent as in they didn't know how it was programmed and everything, and then they were just going along with this hate crime thing spree against me. Or possibly they did know that I was programmed that way, and they just wanted to rub it in because they were mad maybe that I reported some of this that had happened. So then the next thing that was being done to me after I had mentioned Mike Tanzer's name is a different FBI person, Barb Greenman, along with some other individuals. They started apparently telling my mom to tell me they wanted to trigger me by using other programming they'd done of me since I was really little. They started trying to trigger me to commit suicide and started doing using all the triggers and all of the pressure and everything that they had, that they knew worked because they tested it out on me just like they tested all this other stuff out on me. They wanted to use all of those triggers, and they were hoping that I would kill myself. So, so basically, they had me, I mean, just imagine, think about the complicated sequence of their programming, how much time this United States government has spent in programming me to have me raped, tortured, and then wanting to have me killed. Just from the programming of how they wanted me to go with a government man into their car from a specific location. Then how they wanted me to not fight or resist being raped when it was rape and I was tortured and had fear over it, fear of getting killed if I didn't pretend like everything was natural and normal and I agreed with all of it. I would get, attacked, basically. I mean, even in the kitchen when I was getting to drink water, I was on edge. I mean, I was scared. That was why I didn't want to make any noise by even opening up a cupboard. I wanted to sound like I was just totally natural, not make any sudden noises or anything, because I was scared that I didn't know what was going to happen. Just wanted to pretend like no big deal. I'm not doing anything weird, and I'm just acting like, oh, I just live here all the time. Except I didn't want to make any noises. And Because basically I thought, you know, I might make the noise of opening a cupboard and suddenly Mike's at the alerted or alarmed, or he snaps and he's in the doorway with a gun pointed at my head. What are you doing? You know, that kind of thing. So, you know, so then they programmed me basically to facilitate my being raped and then have it look like they weren't doing anything wrong. And then the next thing they wanted to do is they wanted to trigger me after they'd programmed me to kill myself. And they could say, we didn't kill her. We didn't do anything wrong. We didn't cause her. We didn't have anything to do with intentional infliction of emotional distress. Or all of the extreme violence that went into, like the extreme level of violence that went into the programming for having me kill myself. I mean, how do you get someone to feel like they want to commit suicide? Basically, they did the worst of the worst possible things that you can even do to a human being. And they made it not just psychological or emotional. They were extremely violent, and they practiced this suicide thing several times. And I've talked just about some of the programming they did to facilitate rape, and I haven't touched on the government's ideas of how they wanted me to get killed off by triggering me to commit suicide against myself, or having brake failure from a car because I was driving the car incorrectly, or some other assassination ideas they had. But they had more than one idea for how to get rid of me. And sometimes it wasn't involving programming at all. Sometimes they were just, I think, using someone to just put it, and I just hoped that I would get killed. Like, for example, my car was getting hijacked by Mike Nichols, and he did a little kamikaze thing maneuver, wanted to roll the entire car and assumed that I'd be killed in the process. Maybe he would too, but at least he'd get rid of me. So the government has done some different things at various times that that were intended to hurt me fatally. So what I've been talking about so far, I'm not getting into that assassination aspect of things at this time. I will maybe cover that after I talk about rapes, because right now I've been specifically focusing on the rapes. But to basically connect all of the dots and the ideas, I just wanted to add the fact that it was something that they tried to do after I reported FBI individuals and included Mike Tanzer's name into it. The FBI did want to have me triggered to kill myself. So that was in 2005. And so anyway, just, you know, their entire trajectory of what they were doing with me was really bad. And at the same time, during all that, I was getting harassed really badly by cops. I mean, cops all over the place. And I was also getting false citations. I had the government use a judge and some cops to lie about me and say my car had to be towed away because my license was suspended when it wasn't suspended. I mean, if that's not harassment, I don't know what is. They blocked my travel. I got kicked out of my college and out of all of the lawsuits I had filed in Multnomah County because of it, because I couldn't drive anywhere and my car was gone. And at that time I was commuting between 2 different states, so all of a sudden I was totally stranded, had no car, had no alternate mode of transportation. There's not like a great bus system that goes the places that I had to go. And they had used a judge and some cops and the FBI all together to create a false report about me to facilitate blocking my travel. So then I was basically forced out of just about everything and made really vulnerable. And I think that's the position they wanted me to be in, especially because they had committed a bunch of crimes against me. I showed that I was taking initiative enough to make at least one report about one of those situations, and I think they were worried that I might continue that, and so they wanted to try to cause so much distress and have me focus in other areas that I had no money to to advocate for myself. And at the time that I was forced out of these lawsuits I had, one of them was defamation of character. And defamation of character one was extremely important because, you know, if someone defames your character so badly you can't even get work anymore, you know, or says that you have criminal ideas or activities, or that you're unstable or you're weird or whatever. Well, not that you're weird, that's not defamation, but you know, mental instability or potentially violent types of behavior, that kind of thing. When someone makes claims like that, that's extremely damaging to your ability to get work or even have a social life. And that's what this government was doing. And actually, the FBI wanted that to stick to me. They didn't want me to win that lawsuit that I had filed to defend myself. They didn't want me to win any of my lawsuits. And especially when they were involved, and I think they just felt that the defamation of my character worked to their advantage. So, and also, I will, since I mentioned some things about the Catholic Church and how a couple of Catholic priests were involved in this from Mount Angel Abbey. Well, this one priest that did that sign on my head and gave me a medal and everything, like it was a Mount Angel medal of some kind. I'm not sure which one, but something, you know, a medal of some kind of a saint, or maybe it was a cross on it, just had a cross, something like that. Anyway, when the person did this, it could have been the abbot. But I just can't say for sure because I just don't want to get that part wrong. But it was, I think it was either Abbot Ordo, or it was maybe Joachim McCann. But I just, you know, I don't want to say positively. But there were two of them, two of the guys. One was taller, one was shorter. And the guy with the bushy brows, really bushy brows, he was there. And, like, big, like my eyebrows were a little while ago, and like I did when I was preaching, like big caterpillar kinds of eyebrows. He was present for some of this programming of me. So here these two Catholic clergy saw that I was getting programmed to get set up to look like a floozy and then get raped eventually. And here he was making the sign, and he seemed kind of nervous and everything, and he put the sign of the cross on me, but then I couldn't tell if he was actually nervous and he was really on my side and he felt sorry for me because he couldn't believe what was going on, or if he was on the side of all these people that were doing this to me, because then after I walked away and I looked back, he was kind of smirking like, yeah, good luck. And he said something like that. He said, well, good luck. And basically what I realized is that even though he'd done this thing of the sign and the cross and a prayer, he had no faith whatsoever or belief that I would be able to fight the kind of intense, deliberate programming that the United States government was doing to me. He didn't believe that anybody could resist the forms of torture and things that they were doing, even if they wanted to. And so he just kind of shook his head like, good luck. It wasn't like, good luck, you know, here's this medal and the sign of the cross, and you could do it. You know, it wasn't that. It was, his faith was zero. Because what he believed in, it was what he already knew, and he knew that the government, when they torture someone so badly like that, and they do it so intensely for so long, he knew that anyone, no matter who they were, they would do what the government wanted them to do, because that was their entire objective and why they practiced this entire thing called mind control. But see, here was the United States just doing this for anti-competition reasons and to anti-enterprise, to prevent me from having a successful business, and totally anti-capitalist and completely just a form of hate crime. You know, gang raping me and forcing me out of business with, you know, national interest excuses. That's not exactly, you know, what it's not exactly legal, you know. So what I want to say is why I think the FBI, in this next video clip, is why the FBI and some of the other government agencies and the Catholic clergy were working together with the Archdiocese bankruptcy lawsuits and such.